All right, guys. I would like you to join me in welcoming a very special guest tonight. It is one of our scouts knows him pretty good.
I wonder which one.
I wonder which one
I
too.
wonder which one. Come on, let's just
We invited Isaac's grandfather, Mr. Bill Bynum, to join us here tonight. He's going. He grew up on military bases. And he found scouting was a good way to meet other kids and other friends. He achieved his Eagle Scout when he was 15 back in. But he achieved his Eagle Scout at a very young age, at a time when it was a lot harder than what it is now. So let's give him the respect he deserves and give him a warm welcome.
You've been here for a while.
Hi everybody, my name's Bill, and he's right, I'm Isaac's and Nicholas's grandfather, and we've just recently moved here to Rappahannock about 2.5 years ago now. It's not as recent as I think it was, because time has flown by, but we love being here. And I appreciate Josh asking me to do this, because I haven't really reflected on my scouting time in quite a long time. And it's fun to do it, and it's fun to see you guys here, and I just want to spend a little bit of time sharing some of my experiences, but not so much so you can hear about what I did back in the day, but because I'll bet some of my experiences reflect some of the things that you've done too. And they're things that, when you get a little older, you appreciate in a different way than maybe you do when you're in scouting. But when I started in the Scouts at a place called Fort Bragg in North Carolina, so that's an Army base. All of our scout leaders were Army guys. And one of our scout leaders introduced himself, and he said, Hi guys, I'm Charlie Gruntfat. Well, Charlie Gruntfat was a funny scout leader. He had a funny name, and he told funny stories, and he also told scary stories. And I didn't find out until about a year later that his name was not Charlie Gruntfat. So, but he would sit around. One of my first real vivid memories of scouting with that troop was going on a camping trip. And I was pretty new and pretty young, and we were going out camping, and we had Army shelter hats. They were made out of canvas. You buttoned them up in the middle. There was nothing on the ground except, you'd put a ground cover in your sleeping bag there, and we were on pine straw in North Carolina. And so you set up your tent, then it started raining. So we heard all the rain coming down. I'm not having a great time because I was used to sleeping in my bed at home and having a good meal that I enjoyed before I was there. We'd tried to cook over a campfire, and I remember the burnt marshmallow taste, and then it started raining pretty hard. So we're trying, and the tent starts coming closer to you as it gets wet, and you reach up and you touch that tent, and pretty soon your sleeping bag's all wet, and I was miserable. We were on a 2-night camping trip, and I was real happy to get home, and I think I slept all afternoon and that night. So it's not all exactly fun, but it's fun to talk about that misery that you went through back then. And it's also fun because the next camping trip, and we had a camping trip every month, and I've made most of them. The next camping trip, I was not looking forward to going, but because of that experience. So you can understand that. Have any of you guys gone camping and it wasn't as much fun as maybe you thought it might be? Some of you not. Good. But yeah, you can freeze. You can go camping in the winter and freeze. But it's kind of the thing. The more you do it, the more you start understanding how important it is to keep your sleeping bag dry. How important it is to just make that little scoop where your hip is so you can be comfortable at night and that kind of thing. And how neat it is to be working with a campfire, and you know that you wait until the coals come before you start throwing the potatoes in, and that kind of stuff. You get little experiences, and you build on those things, and it's real good. So that's one of the things you learn about yourself. You get some experiences, and you get a little bit of self-confidence doing things that you didn't even know were there to be done before. Another thing that was important to me in those experiences is you get going in scouting, if you stick with it for a while, or even not in scouting, but now and then you get thrown a challenge. And I remember one of my early ones was getting cooking merit badge. So you go down through the merit badge book and you look at all the requirements. And one of the requirements that you could do in cooking merit badge, I don't remember, there was some things that were optional when you could pick from a list. But one of the things was carving a turkey. So I was probably maybe 13 and a half years old or something. It was Thanksgiving time, and here's this turkey. So I announced to my mom that I was going to be the one that was going to carve the turkey. You know, so she thought that was a great idea. At least she told me that she thought that was a great idea. And I had my little diagram of how you do this, and this great big turkey sitting there. And I started carving it, and I have to say this was not a bad experience. I thought I did a pretty decent job, and it was a lot of fun. And I never had done anything like that before. And I think I've carved the turkey every year that we were at my mom's since then, since I was 13, over all of those years. So that was a real positive experience. And it's something that, frankly, if I had never opened up the cooking merit badge requirements, I probably wouldn't have done. So it gets you into things that you don't know that you're going to do. And those merit badges, and Anthony has a ton of merit badges here. I'm surprised he can sit up straight. But the merit badges I thought were a lot of fun, and I'll bet you thought the same thing, getting them. I don't know how it works today, but I remember one of the criteria, when I was looking at the merit badges, I just wanted to find ones that I could get some of them pretty easily. And I remember one of them that I looked at that didn't seem to have a whole lot of requirements was fingerprinting merit badge. Do you have that one? Well, I looked up online just to see if there even is a fingerprinting merit badge today. And I was surprised to see that even today in scouting, according to Google, fingerprinting merit badge, after you get past the required ones for Eagle Scout, is like right near the top of the ones that are earned. But I remember when I get one, thinking there weren't very many requirements for the fingerprinting merit badge, I started to go for it. And one of the things you could do was go to the police station. So I went to the police station and talked with this guy who the scoutmaster knew. And it was really neat because I got fingerprinted just like I was going to jail. And then we I fingerprinted the cop. He showed me how to roll it from one side to the other. And you learned about different kinds of fingerprints. And then you got a little kit, and you could, pick up a glass, or at that time a cigarette lighter or something, and then you could dust for the fingerprints. And that just opened up a neat world and experience that I hadn't had. And I'll bet you've had some like that. Is that right? Does any particular ones come to mind, or?
No.
But you have a lot of merit badges that I never saw, but I did have a handful of those. So I think the citizenship merit badges match in with what you learn in school. So you learn about citizenship in the community, citizenship in the nation, and citizenship in the world. And the citizenship in the world one was the most important one for me, because it gave me a perspective. Being in the Army, we had lived in Europe and had been around, and we met people from all over the place. But it gave me a feeling that, that there's a lot going on, that's bigger than where you are right here, and it's very important. And I think having some conversations with a historian who was the counselor for citizenship in the world was one of the important things for me. One of the things, too, that I experienced, and it was a real teamwork thing, the scout troop I was in at Fort Bragg was very active. and the North Carolina State Fair was going on. At the State Fair at that time, all of the scouts would have sort of a corner of it, and we'd have scouting contests. And one of the contests was knot tying, and I don't know if they have anything like that going on now, but knot tying contest, I think there were something like 20 knots that you learned, and the contest was a relay race. It was about from here to the back of the room. There'd be a hitching post at each end. You would run down to one end. There'd be 8 people on a team, 4 at each end. One of the first scout would run to the other end, pick up a piece of paper, open it, and it would have one of those 20 knots. You tie it as fast as you can, run back, and then the next scout would run back. You all go back and forth till you tied 8 of those knots. And my troop won, so we got this little cool medal for state knot tying championship. But learning how to do that, we must have practiced for a month, and that was just a lot of fun, and it taught teamwork, because you'd help the guy who was the slowest, would get the most help, and it kept going like that. So, and there's just one more thing I want to talk about, but that's about relationships. So I've talked a little bit about good experiences, about building self-confidence, and the relationships, the team building. So another thing that I did do in scouting was I decided I wanted to go to Philmont Scout Ranch. And how many people know what Philmont Scout Ranch is? Okay, so some of you guys don't. It's a place in New Mexico, and it is a ranch. It's a huge ranch in Cimarron, New Mexico. I'm not sure how many, but thousands of acres. When you go there, you're with thousands of other scouts. And what you do when you go there, and I guess it's the same today, is you spend a week and you have a trek. And the first thing that you do is you sit down with the people in your group, which is your patrol usually, that comes with you, and you plot out your trek, and you have a map of Philmont, and there's a whole lot of choices you can go on. And I happen to be the patrol leader of my group, so I kind of had a lot of the say of what was going to happen. But we picked out a trek where the first day was a horseback ride. Now, I had never been on a horse before, and I can tell you, just as a spoiler, I haven't been on a horse since. But we got on that horse, we got on our horses, and we started going, and this was terrific for about the first hour, and then it started hurting. And by the end of the day, one thing that happened along the way was we came to a stream. It wasn't very wide, and it was fairly shallow, but this horse that I was on got in the middle. I'm the patrol leader, right, so I'm in the front. He got in the middle of the stream, and he decided he wanted to go up the stream rather than across to the trail. So I was going up the stream, and I had no control over this horse, even though I was speaking to it in an animated fashion. And I think the leader, the adult leader that accompanied us on this trek, finally had to come up and turn the horse around for me. So that was kind of embarrassing, but I was more sore that night than I was embarrassed. But going on that trek with those other guys for a week, I was real happy to be hiking for the rest of the week instead of on the horse. It was a lot of fun, but it was a team building thing too, because not only did we have to plan the trek out, we carried all of our food with us for a week. We had all of our equipment, which was either on the horses or later on our backs. And it was just a fine experience. Now, we had great weather, and I'm sure it could be a different experience depending on what happened, but I just wanted to share that. So those relationships are important, and those experiences are important, and having the self-confidence is important. And after scouting, and I'll just say, when I turned 16, other things took over in my life, and I didn't stick with scouting for long after Philmont, but I didn't forget about it either. And one of the things that it did for me and for my family in our life was, we had 3 kids, and we took a camping trip across the country. And, you know, I knew how to set up all the camping gear and get going and everything, and had the confidence to do that. So that in a way has passed experiences down to, you know, Nicholas and Isaac's mom, Rachel, and other people in our family. So that's all I have to say. I just wanted to share a little bit, and thanks a lot for asking me.
One of the things that you said is going to stick with me is building self-confidence, doing things that you don't even know are there. And as I was thinking about tonight, I'm thinking about why scouting. And I can list all the reasons in my mind, but you can't list all the reasons, right? You know, there's so many more. And the other thing too that I appreciate about scouting and hearing you, so your fingerprinting merit badge, well, those things get evolved, they continue on, and now there's forensics. Forensics merit badges where, okay, maybe back in your time that was high technology, same with mug shots, but color photographs too. But the thing, scouting is seems like it's constantly changing, constantly modernizing, constantly trying to produce new leaders for the next generation. So I appreciate your time tonight, and I appreciate your experiences.
Thank you, Josh. Thanks.
So, I'm sorry, Eric, do you think he deserved 2 pieces of cake for that one?
Yeah, that was
Yes.
that was a
Yes.
two caker.
Well, later on, that's a little inside joke. Later on when we do our cake ceremony, we do it Marine Corps style. Thank you, Mr. DeGrasso. The guest of honor gets the first piece of cake, and then the oldest scout present gets a second, and he hands it to the youngest scout, and then the oldest scout gets a 3rd piece of cake. So I think he will deserve 2 pieces of cake there. All right, so we are going to move on to our PAC awards. Were you going to say something that was going to add 5 minutes to something? So to catch up a little bit, we had our Pinewood Derby a couple weeks ago. Mr. Comer had a car that was really fast, but he also had a basketball game because he's really fast. And his car won 2nd place overall in the pack. Congratulations. I just want to also say that Declan Perot and Isaac Plaxton both won. Plaxton.
I told you how to pronounce it.
Plaxton. Didn't I say it? Plaxton.
I told you how to pronounce it, Father.
Plaxton. You know what? I'll get it when I give him his eagle. Plaxton. So let's go Plaxton. Isaac. So Isaac and Declan got good sportsmanship awards, recognized for good sportsmanship and showing scouting spirit, and that is the 2nd year in a row for Isaac. Also, Declan, yes.
I got it 2 years ago. I didn't get it last year.
Okay.
It's your 2nd time.
Second time for you then. Okay, 2nd time. And then Nate and Declan also got the best in show. And that was voted on by the other scouts. So congratulations for you. Okay, let's hand out some awards here.
Wolves first.
We're going to go with Wolves first. So can I get Nate?
Let's go like wolves.
So, Mr. Valentine here got his duty to God in footsteps. And Airwolf. Congratulations. Okay. We're going to go with Garrett DeWitt.
Where's mine?
Garrett DeWitt got his Baloo the Builder badge, belt loop. And I had to stay late that night till they finished up with my hammer. He got Paul's for Action. Congratulations. And he got Fellowship and Duty to God. Now I need Fiona.
Now off is close.
I know Will. She, okay, she didn't get that one yet. We have to do something else. She got Bare Necessities. She also got her whittling chip. So that means we have to do the whittling chip pledge. She's got a sign? Okay. Repeat after me for the next 30 seconds.
Okay.
I will treat my pocket knife
I will treat my pocket knife
with respect due a useful tool.
with respect to useful tool.
I will always close
I will always close
my pocket knife
my pocket knife
and put it away
and put it away
when not in use.
when not in use.
I will not
I will not
use my pocket knife
use my pocket knife
when it might injure someone near me.
when it might injure someone near me. What are you doing?
I promise
I promise
never to throw my pocket knife
never to throw my pocket knife
for any reason.
for any reason.
I will
I will
use my pocket knife
use my pocket knife
in a safe manner
in a safe manner
at all
at all
times.
times.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You're not done, Fiona? Now that she got her whittling chip, she can get her Bear Claws badge. Congratulations.
What if there's a psycho killer after her? She's like, oh my god, I have to use my knife. Oh wait, I can't do it.
Safe man. It's a
Safe man, yeah, that's a safe. We'll let that one
That comes
slide.
under safe management.
Gotta go back.
Okay.
I
Let me get Isaac up here.
I'm short.
Now, Isaac missed a pack meeting, but so we're catching up a little bit. He got his camper pen,
Yay.
Building a Better World,
Yay.
Duty to God in Action,
Yay.
and he got his scouting adventure. Can I get Mr. Parrot, Pirot,
The pirate.
how do you pronounce that one?
Go, my father.
Declan is finishing up his pens. He got Scouting Adventure and Duty to God in Action.
Oh, the Race Across America thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a great little time that you can. We go to National Cemetery. Hey, Declan, come on. So Wreaths Across America is something that's pretty special. We go to national cemeteries and we lay wreaths on this on the headstones of the soldiers that were there, that fought, that are interned there. This year, we went up to Culpeper National Cemetery, and we specifically focused on the area of the unknown soldiers that were killed during the American Civil War. So instead of saying names as you lay the wreath down, you say a number. And that's all that those guys are remembered by now. It's just their numbers. So thank you for participating in that. You did a great job. Mr. Loth, he finished his duty to God in action and scouting adventures. You want to tell them about the game that they played? It's neither safe nor fun.
I remember.
Okay, we're going to let Mason share. All right, congratulations, Henry. All right, Mason, come on up here and share with the game that was neither safe nor fun. It was just like nuts on the end of the rope.
Okay, we used knots and we tied it on the end of the rope, and then on the other end it was tied to this very long stick. And we had set mouse traps along the floor, and we fished for mouse traps, and whoever got the most mouse traps won.
Why was there some mouse traps?
That's why it was
very
neither
bad.
safe nor fun.
Something was
Something was gonna be
Well, also with that, the scouts are also practicing their lashing. So it was not just one pole. It was a relay race. It was similar to a relay race. It wasn't just one pole that you used as fishing. You had to connect two poles together using lashings. So that was something that the scouts did that was neither safe nor fun, but a lesson learned. So,
Never use.
well, it's fun saying it. Well, just like camping out in the snow and the rain. It's not really fun, but it's fun.
No one gets to say they got just fishing for mouse traps.
So that was part of our den meeting with Troop 36, and we did that to meet a requirement for scouting adventure. And Mr. Comer also met the requirements for duty God in action.
I remember now. I thought it was fun.
Okay, so that's all the awards we have for the guys here right now. And does anyone have their program handy? Anyone? Any of you guys have their program handy? What's coming on? What's coming on after the pack awards?
Cake cutting. Oh, cake
I'm sorry,
cutting. Cake cutting.
Cake cut? Okay, is it time for
20
cake
more
cut?
minutes of talking. No, I think 20 more minutes of ceremony.
All right, so listen up. We're going to have. Hold on. We're going to have another 15 minutes of me just standing up here droning on.
No! We need one cake.
Okay, so give us a few minutes to get the cake down here, and we will move forward with that. Okay?
Everybody stir riot for the kids.
No, you gotta get
cake.
the
We're getting cake. I don't care about it.
We're getting cake.
Riot.
How it works.
Mr. Bynum, will you join us up here, please?
No, stop it.
Why are you gonna murder the cake?
Because the cake deserves to die so we can eat its soul.
Yeah! Why can't we just eat it whole?
Stand still for a minute, everybody. All right, look over here.
Fiona.
Excellent.
Very large pocket knife there.
Yeah, my whittling chip is about this.
You don't carry them in buckets.
Okay, Mr. DeGrasso, would you like to speak a little bit about the Marine Corps tradition of the cake cutting?
Sure. So, the Marine Corps is very steeped in tradition, and one of the traditions is celebrating the birthday of the Marine Corps, which is November 10th. This is what we're celebrating here, is the Boy Scouts' birthday. Boy Scouts was founded on the 8th of February in 1910. So this is what we're celebrating, the birthday of Boy Scouts of America. So we cut the cake, and like our cut master told us earlier, the first piece of cake goes to our guest of honor to thank them for coming and sharing with us. second piece goes to the oldest scout, but the oldest scout doesn't get to eat it. The oldest scout hands it off to the youngest scout, and that symbolizes the fact that us as older scouts look after our younger scouts before we look after ourselves. It also symbolizes the passing on of experience and knowledge to the folks who come behind us. And then the final piece of cake goes to the oldest scout. So
Thank you very much.
that's all I know.
Wait, so there are only 3 pieces of cake? We need the special effects. So
No, after that, then never mind. Okay, so I'm not sure what we got here, so let's see if we see.
You murdered the kid. Chocolate. This
It looks like chocolate and carrot. Yay!
How would we know there was carrot from that, Father?
Do you see the carrot piece in there?
Oh, yes. Yes, it Carrot cake's good.
You chopped up the egg in my name.
Oh, you never chopped me.
You chopped my name. No, I didn't even you chopped Steve.
Your beautiful name that my father can't
Hold
get
on, watch
right.
out, guys.
Isaac's beautiful name that my father
Okay.
can't get right.
So Bill, which flavor do you like?
I've lost my apple.
What's that?
It's also good.
Suzy Grill close. No, that's yours as guest of honor. Now, the second one goes to you, but goes to the youngest, who is Mr. Valentine.
I'll take this piece.
Would you
Wait.
like a small one?
The camera needs to see.
I would
The
take
camera needs to see. The camera needs to see.
Here goes the camera.
Okay, let's cut the rest of this thing.
Yay!
Fiona, you don't like cake, right? You don't like cake.
I do.
You do. Your one. And your one.
I want the one that's just deep,
No, I want the one that's just deep because that's me. You would rather kill Patrick 123 than me.
Oh
Yeah.
He already did.
No, I'm right there.
These are tiny.
I want DT.
Okay, I don't care.
I want my eyes.
I got 14. They got 14?
Just German chocolate.
All right, I need a hand. Oh, you just
I had an icing fail on German chocolate.
Chicken are good.
Okay, who would like carrot?
I didn't care.
Carrot.
I just said I was
You want carrot? You mean
Okay,
it's more like a chocolate to me than carrot.
That's more of a chocolate. One at a time.
I guess I'll be last.
Oh, you just had it. I just had it. Yeah. So we just had the icing. Or the German chocolate. It's still fresh in your
James, you don't like cake. Do you like cake? You do?
Well, you know what it is?
One day. I don't think you like cake, James. You do? Oh. One time.
For some reason, it didn't set up, and then overnight, it
You want
all
cake
leaked out. I had like
Yeah,
carrier.
The age is almost set. Okay. I need my pack leaders to my right, to my left.
Wait, what? We are?
Yeah. I asked the families of Henry, Declan, Mason, and Isaac to join me on my right.
Wait, should we be here?
Just stand.
Where's Nicholas?
I'm filming.
Part of my family.
I'm moving the camera.
Okay. Catch on the stupid camera. Nicholas, come on.
Okay, fine. I'll just...
Okay, you guys can put your hands on. There was a village that laid among the foothills of a great mountain. Each year, the elders would challenge the youth to summit that mountain that shadowed their village in the setting sun. The youth would bring back a part of the ground to show how far they traveled. The following year, they would take the ground back and leave it where they found it. The youngest of them would often bring back sand and pebbles. And pebbles. As they got stronger, they would bring back rounded rocks. These stones were washed and tumbled in the waters. As they got older, they would bring rough rocks that were buried in the ground, and not touched by the moving elements. Then one year, the group of youths did not return for several days. When they did, they came back empty-handed. The elders asked them, "Where is your ground?" And the youth said, "We chose to leave the mountain so that others may follow." The elders knew that the youth had summited the mountain, for though their hands were empty, their eyes and their hearts were full. They saw more mountains, more summits, more challenges. They saw these challenges change in the rising sun, at noon, at the setting sun, and with the glow of the moon, just as the coast changes with the rising of the tides. Even though each individual in the group would challenge separate summits, they knew that they could reach them, for they stood there among those summits. Today, all right, when I call your name, please step forward. Today, Henry Loth, Isaac Plaxton, Declan Perot, and Mason Comer. We recognize that you stand among the summits. You have promised to do your best to be physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. You've promised to use those qualities to help others at all times. You have completed adventures, time and time again, that prove that you are trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. You have earned the rank of Arrow of Light Scout. The badge of this rank is simple in design, but is rich in meaning. The blue represents truth, loyalty, the sky, and spirit. The gold represents warmth, friendship, the sun, and purpose. The arrow demonstrates strength, both inner and outer, and direction. The seven rays of the light, stand for wisdom, courage, self-control, justice, faith, hope, and love. Scouting is a family commitment. As a sign of thanks, we offer you these tokens. We offer you these tokens to give to those that supported you in your journey.
It says Henry on it. Fiona, don't do that.
to your parents and thank them for their support and stuff.
It's not assault. Don't worry about it. You'll get salt. You'll get salt to be.
Fiona Prince.
The badges that will be presented to you will show others that they will do well to follow your example. As such, you will be asked to wear these badges throughout your scouting career. The Aero Light badge is the one badge you can wear through Boy Scouts, Venture Crew, and as adult leaders. No. Yeah. The trial of life is not always simple and clear. In joy and sorrow, in victory and defeat, gain and loss. Do you promise to use the symbols of this badge to guide you on your way?
Yes. Yes.
I guess.
You say, I do. I do. Scout up. On my honor,
I will do my best to do my duty, to guide my country, to obey the scout laws, to help other people at all times, keep myself physically strong, mentally straight, and morally straight.
close enough. A scout is
Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
good job.
Do we keep our hands up?
Leaders. Are you satisfied that these young men have met the requirements for this rank?
Yes.
Parents and guardians, do you believe that these young men have done their best to uphold the spirit of scouting? I now ask you to bestow upon them the symbols of their rank. I now invite you to meet with Mr. DeGrasso, the Scout Master for Troop 36. He will talk to you about getting started in scouting BSA.
Congratulations, boys. You've achieved a huge milestone in your scouting.
Yay!
The Aero Blight is the Eagle Scout of Cub Scouting. So as our gift and welcome to you, and Boy Scouts are led by Scouts, not adult leaders. So Anthony is a Boy Scout. He has been our senior patrol leader in Troop 36 a couple of times. So he is going to give you a gift of his Scout handbook.
It's very shiny.
Don't stay that way.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Congratulations. And welcome to Boy Scouts.
Yay! How long am I in this class before we go to Eagle?
Congratulations.
Good job, guys. Let's give them a round of applause. Who are we?
Back 123!
Who are 123!
Happy 123!
Thank you very much. You guys were
36,
great.
36.
You're Troop 36 now, right?
Yay. Good job, guys.
Congratulations, guys. Good job. I'm very proud of you. Thank you.
Clap, 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 clap.